Try that again. And okay. Sorry about that. All right, so here we are talking about Impact tonight. What'd you think of the show tonight?
Definitely not bad.
Yeah.
So, like I said before, this was like the first show I was able to like sit down and actually just like obtain like the entire show of its,
Yeah.
entirety. First show in a long time. First time just like really sitting down, really being introduced to all these guys that I haven't been really like familiar with in a while. One guy that actually really catches my eye is Ace Austin.
That guy's awesome.
I,
Yeah.
he's phenomenal talent.
Yeah.
Definitely reminds me of like a lot of Matt Taven. A
Okay.
lot like
Yeah.
Matt
All right.
Taven.
I see that. I
Especially
see that.
with like the hair, especially with like the cane, the way he just personifies himself.
Yep.
And I think the whole tournament. I think he really got screwed over there.
Right.
But obviously we'll get into that as we go along the show here for people who aren't aware of what happened tonight.
Right.
Yeah, I got screwed. So
Yeah.
I'll just put it that way.
I missed last week's. I have it, the file on my computer. I just haven't sat down and watched it. But now that I'm restarting this show, I made it a point to start at 8 o'clock and watch it. I thought it was overall pretty good. I was mostly concerned with what's going to happen with the world title match or with the world title situation. That was one of the main concerns because they were saying that it wasn't hasn't been on the television in about over 2 months. Ever since Tessa won it, I think she only appeared a couple times, maybe on TV with it, and
And you would figure they would do it by like old school like wrestling standards. Like obviously, if you're not around defending the belt, vacate the belt, have a tournament.
exactly. Yeah, and
So
they didn't really even clear that situation up either tonight. I mean, I guess just a big brawl broke out, right? They didn't.
yeah,
So
it,
because Ace
it, it was
Austin, yeah,
like, it was basically just like four of them in the ring. Scott
yep,
D'Amore's like, "Oh, it's gonna be the five of you," and us, Ace is just like, "Oh, you're in C now. What are you talking about? There ain't no five people here." And Scott's just like, "Oh, just turn around, and then just Trey just comes out of nowhere." So,
yeah. Who do you think the mystery attacker is?
oh man, mystery attacker. That's
They
boy, that's
put
tough
too
because,
much.
like I said, like
Yeah,
I'm not really familiar with a lot of these guys. Um, it's hard. I can't really tell. The only thing I could probably think of is maybe one of the new inquires from these whole all these guys who were released by WWE. Now they're trying to acquire all these
oh,
talent.
okay. Okay. I
I
see what
think
you're saying here.
I think it might be somebody new. Somebody
Right.
that we're not familiar with seeing, or somebody who's probably returning. Obviously, we got that little hint from Rhino today talking about I have a tag team partner. He has kids.
Oh, well, we know who that is. We know who that is. That was the
Yeah.
whole gimmicks.
So
I didn't
that,
even catch that line, but yeah. Wow.
yeah,
So,
that's why I messaged you. I was all like, yeah, Heath is definitely going to be a slave anniversary
wow,
if it's
that's
coming down.
cool.
So, I definitely want to see Mike Bennett come back. He was another guy that I thought was very underutilized. And they did play that flashback moment with him and Earl
That's
Hebner.
that's what made me think he was coming in. Yeah.
I I kind of thought that was corny, but it kind of gave a little hint there. Same thing with EC3.
Yep.
Um, Obviously, that's probably indicating for those guys making a comeback.
Right.
And honestly, just looking at Mike Bennett at that stage of his career, I thought he just sounded a lot better on the mic because I just thought he's being himself.
Well, that's the thing with Impact versus WWE, and we've talked about this before. I think that WWE has scripted promos. They make people talk in ways that no grown-up human being will talk. It's just they use words that, and an Impact and other promotions they're just allowed to go off the cuff and be themselves. So, and I think that was more. It was more genuine, that promo that you saw on Impact tonight. That flashback moment. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of indications, and the way they're promoting that. Um, it's definitely a good way to start. Just hopefully when Slammiversary comes right around, it lives up to its promise, I guess you would say.
Yeah, I think it's going to end up being a really good show. Um, it's usually a good show, but this year, I mean, I think they have so much, and hopefully, if any of these talents come in, and that they're coming in, that'll actually boost up Impact's morale, or up a little bit more, and make people more interested in watching as well, because not a lot of people get access, not a lot of people watch it anymore.
Well, I mean, it definitely caught my attention today.
Yeah.
Me actually just sitting here with my notebook and just like, all right, first full episode of Impact I've watched in about, I want to say maybe like 5 years.
Oh wow. Wow. Yeah, I
So,
was I go back and forth with them, but I've been trying to pay attention a little bit more lately. So it's good.
I was, like I said, getting familiar with some of these guys here. Some of the guys I am familiar with. Um, you know, let's go over like the first match here that kicked off
Yeah.
the show. Mike Elgin, Ken Shamrock, Sami Callihan, triple threat match. Um,
This
Obviously that didn't waste no time. Shamrock just wasted no time. Callahan's in the corner. I kind of found this match a little bit sloppy and slow paced, but not from Elgin and Callahan, but from Shamrock.
All right. I noticed that too. Not to rip on Shamrock, because he was an amazing talent in his day, but he just looked a little bit too old, you know what I mean, and sloppy in there, and wasn't moving around properly. It seemed like,
Right. I mean, the outside dive that he took, that was definitely a high spot I would have
Yeah,
expected out of Shamrock.
yeah,
Um, yeah. He basically no sells the DDTs.
yeah.
Um, classic Shamrock there.
Right.
Boy, but look at him, in the physique he's in at his age. Boy, you would think Al Bundy took steroids.
For someone his age to look that way, I'd be afraid of him still. I really would be afraid of him. But he,
But
it's just this particular match
obviously
looks
the
sloppy on his part. Go
yeah,
ahead. Yeah.
it was just. But going over the match here again. They broke one of the turnbuckle pads.
Yep.
Uh, Elgin ends up winning. Turnbuckle spot exposed. Elgin hits Shamrock with the power bomb. And what it looked like, it really looked like Shamrock was, and Callahan were on good terms. They were helping each other out. And
Right.
then, the match ended. Callahan just disappears from a push of a button, and Shamrock's just in the ring like, the fuck do I do now?
Yeah, everything was gone. But I guess that's the power of you can film with no audience, that they could do all those effects and stuff. So it's easier to do it that way. It was
Yeah.
a good match
I mean, it's
overall.
cool. It,
Yeah.
it, it was good.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, there was like some parts in the match I really didn't think they knew what to do next after one spot.
Right.
I could definitely see it in like Shamrock's and Callahan's face, just a look of confusion. Like, okay, just going to pick it up a little bit, then slow pace, pick it up. Especially the double clothesline. Shamrock just took it very, very sloppily.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing against Shamrock. I mean, especially with the age he's at. I mean, I'm surprised he even wanted to come back into wrestling in the first place.
Right.
But moving on to the next match here. Tasha Steel versus Susie. Susie, interesting character. Very interesting character. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a oh my god, if I could think of there's so many movies that would remind me of this.
Yeah,
It's
she
kind of
goes
like one of
back
those
and forth.
alter egos. It's kind of like one of those alter egos where it's like you constantly consist yourself like, hey, I'm not psycho.
Right.
I'm trying to be the type of person, but then people just push you to those boundaries. And you know what? It kind of reminds me of that movie. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this movie. It's a movie with Dee Snider, and he was like this killer,
Uh
and he all these like women and like into his house. He had like this dungeon, and he would like lock them up and torture them, sew their mouths together, and then he ended up doing some time. Um,
Stranglehold,
yeah,
Strangeland. Yes, yeah, yep.
that's
I have not
basically
seen
what
that. Yeah,
reminds definitely what she reminds me of.
yeah.
Not familiar with the character. I mean, I am familiar with Sue Young, obviously.
This is
You
her. The
know,
Susie's Sue Young's alter ego, so she goes back being Susie and Sue Young. So I guess Susie is the more normal version, so to see, the one that's not crazy. But yeah, I think that she's talented. I really like her a lot, and I think that she's a lot of fun. A lot of fun to watch on, and one of the better characters that Impact has. Tasha Steele, I'm surprised actually signed with Impact recently because I think she showed up in the second season of NWA on NWA Power, and then all of a sudden she was just gone. So yeah,
yeah. Um,
yeah.
she's definitely a phenomenal talent. I've, between you and me, we've seen her at like Northeast Wrestling shows.
Yep.
Um, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Christian Casanova in the future.
That'd be amazing if he really popped up there.
It'd be a good
Because he's a
start.
great talent. He's a great talent. That guy, and I guess what was it the last Pro Wrestling Illustrated? He they did an article on him on he's one to watch in the future. As far as like being a superstar, and I think that's pretty amazing for a guy that works the local area for us. That he's featured, and he's probably going to be a big star someday. He looks like
Yeah,
it.
and I think TNA Impact would definitely be a good start, especially for the X division.
Yeah.
But going on this match here, Susie, like right in the beginning of the match, she just looks so spaced out. She's just like looking around, like,
Yeah.
and you have Tasha like, hello, hello,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
um, a move in the match that really caught my eye that made me kind of cringe a little bit was Susie. She did like this like palm thrust right to Tasha's neck, and I'm just like, oof, like very 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 vicious of
Right.
her. But then obviously the finish of the match, Susie gets distracted by Hogan. Steel hits with the cutter. Tasha wins. Do their little victory dance.
Right.
Uh, then we go to the backstage segment. They're basically off the clock, as they said, and run into Jessica Havoc, which
Did I?
they're sitting there like, oh, acting like big scaredy cats, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you just called us scaredy cats. Why don't
Right.
we take this in the ring right now? And they're just like, yeah, no, rain
Yeah.
check,
No, they just
maybe
walked
next time.
away. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
just walk away.
That was just bizarre. The whole thing. That scene. I mean, Impact seems to do that sometimes. They end up having the whole entire scene and then just wasting it for no reason whatsoever, and just like, yeah, nah, never mind. But
Yeah, yeah.
the tag match next, I really liked a lot. Was a Willie Mack and Cousin Jake against Swinger and Chris Bay. Was that the tag match?
I
Yeah,
like that. It was definitely a good match.
yeah,
Nothing that really caught my attention when it comes to like spots. I just thought it was
right.
like a good back and forth match. Um, Fun fact about Chris Bay. Chris Bay. I wasn't familiar with him wrestling.
Hmm.
How I was introduced to Chris Bay was actually his YouTube channel
Okay.
years ago. He had his own collection of WWE DVDs. He would do
Oh,
unboxings,
really?
and it was just like around that time when he said, "Oh yeah, I want to train and become a professional wrestler." Yada yada yada. And I followed him for a little bit through some of his videos, but then some of his videos kind of like lost me for a while. So I seen him resurface, and I'm just sitting there like, Chris Bay, like, why does that name ring a bell? Until I looked him
Really?
up, and he just popped up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the dude I used to follow on YouTube, he actually
That's
pursued a
crazy.
dream. So
Yeah, that's crazy.
I thought that for that.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. I caught him at a Paradise Alley show one night. It was one night he was working 205 Live, then the next Friday he was actually at a Paradise Alley show in East Haven. And I ended up running into him and talking to him, and then literally like less than a month later, he actually made his debut with Impact and signed with Impact. So it's good to see him make it. A guy that would always work, indies. And I was watching him in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood too. He's quite the talent. So good for him making it. And I don't know why they teamed him with Swinger though. That was just a really oddball pairing.
Yeah, I don't really think that team really meshed well together. I mean, maybe from a heel perspective, yes, but
Right.
going up against Cousin Jake and Willie Mack, after the match, Willie and Jake get the win. Willie hits the stunner. Swinger and Bay attack after the match, and then we see the return of
The part that I like the best about this is after the match when they all were trying to high five each other and then they wouldn't because of the whole social distancing, so they were doing it up in the air and stuff. That really had me laughing. That was really good. That was funny. I loved it.
But going back to Chris Bay here, as you said, just within a short amount of time, just signing with Impact Wrestling. He's actually also going to be making a video game appearance as a DLC character for the Retromania video game coming out soon.
If I played video games, I would definitely get this game because it just seems like a really awesome game, and they keep announcing more and more really good stuff that's going to be in this game. Like, they're featuring the NWA with the world champion Nick Aldis and stuff like that. And the NWA was helped promote it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? Not even that game either, but the Future Wrestling game coming out for the Virtual Basement. A lot of people signed for that game.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
You have to keep me updated on that.
I know there was a couple Impact superstars that were signed, but I think they had to back off due to their contract agreements.
Okay.
So I know some of them were cut off. I think Su Yung was cut off. But yeah, just a lot of people signed to this game, and they're looking at this game as like probably one of the next big wrestling games to be released.
Really?
Whether that would be for current gen or the next gen. I'll definitely send you a video.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did see some screenshots. I did see like screenshots of like character developments, and it definitely looked realistic.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But
that's cool,
let me find the notes here. Already went over the whole Rhino segment.
Yep. Then there was the world title. The world title segment, right, was next with Austin interrupts Scott D'Amore, and then Elgin and Edwards come out, and then just a huge brawl, and they never really got to saying what they wanted to say. So how do you think this situation is going to come out? Do you think that Tessa's going to show up with the world title later? Oh, wait, what's his name showed up too, didn't he?
Oh,
Moose, your buddy, your favorite.
Yeah, that guy. It's kind of interesting too, because I think if it comes down to it, if Tessa doesn't show up, Moose is going to be a obvious replacement, as we've seen the segment with Moose and Austin and back.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was some type of foreplay right there. Seeing Eddie Edwards come back, definitely a lot different from the last time I was familiar with. Got his hair braided, and
he doesn't look like he doesn't look like the technical wrestler like he was back in the day in Ring of Honor and such.
Looks like he gained a couple pounds too.
That, and he became a hardcore wrestler, walking around with the kendo stick and stuff like that. So he's a completely different character than he was before. Not exactly sure how that developed, because I think I wasn't really watching Impact when that happened. Right. So my thing with the whole world title situation is they've been teasing that they've been teasing the name change back to TNA out over the last couple months. So, and then they had the TNA reunion on top of it. and then Moose shows up with the TNA World Title. Could this be the situation that's going to make it happen? Could this be what's going to actually say, hey, TNA is coming back next week, and then it's going to be TNA Impact Wrestling once again?
I mean, who knows? I mean, they've been saying TNA this, TNA that. I mean, the fact that they have practically 2 world championships on one show,
yep.
Which kind of threw me off guard because I'm sitting like, wait a second, is Tessa world champion? What is Moose doing with the TNA world title?
He stole it.
Right, so that's practically his own little jewelry fashionable piece there. But going over this Slammiversary announcement, obviously from, as I was telling you before, Austin, he just felt like he was screwed, going throughout that whole tournament, winning the tournament, becoming the number 1 contender, and only for Scott D'Amore to be like, listen, keep your space for social distancing, and we're not going to do it like this, and we're going to have this determined in a 5-way match. Obviously, there's not 5 people in the match. There weren't 5 people in the ring, excluding Scott D'Amore. Austin basically just calls him a senile old man. And Scott D'Amore is just like, hey, look behind you. And Trey just comes out of nowhere. Drop kick, leading to a big brawl with the questions of where's Tessa?
Yep.
So who knows? I'm hoping Tessa shows up. She's a phenomenal talent, but
she's great. Yep.
Not sure if it's just with the way of the world and the whole pandemic going on. We'll see. I mean, that whole segment with Moose backstage with Austin may clear some airways here with some possibilities.
Yeah.
Which also leads to next week's episode with Moose taking on Hernandez.
I think that's going to be a weird match. I mean, obviously, we both discussed Moose's talents before, but Hernandez is quite the talented man. He's actually a really good wrestler. So, and didn't you wrestle Moose a couple weeks back, like a month back, I think, and it was a really decent match on his part, from watching Hernandez. And I hadn't seen Hernandez since he left TNA, like however many years back. So it was good to see him, and he still got it. He still has it. Yeah.
Definitely does. And I think, with this whole revival of like Impact TNA, I think it would be a good opportunity to have, a good TNA original finally in the world title picture.
Yeah.
Especially with Moose. Fuck that guy. I'm just not fond of Moose. But going on to the next match here, Crazy Steve taking on Jacob Christ with this whole group with Joey Ryan, or should I say Joseph Ryan.
Joseph Ryan, the cancel culture. Yep. I didn't know that Jake Christ actually joined them. Now it's Rob Van Dam and what's her face, Katie Forbes or with him now too. So I didn't even know that they're all part of that group.
Boy, and looking at RVD, it just made me laugh. With his hair braided on the side, and just him making out with Katie the whole time, and I'm just
yes. That's what they've done. That's what they've been doing on the TV show for the last, 6 or 7 months. It just shows them sitting in bathtubs making out, or in a backstage area sitting on a couch doing the same exact thing. And Rob Van Dam looked like he could barely walking to the ring. He looked like he was banged up really bad. So it was very strange,
Which is funny that you said that, because I actually just seen a I think it was like not like a commercial, but like some type of advertisement with RVD promoting some type of cream for pain relief,
like a CBD cream or something. Because yeah. All right.
Which funny that you mentioned that, but I mean, this match wasn't really nothing really special with this match here. I mean,
no, it was basically a squash. Yeah.
Ryan distracts Steve. Chris picks up the win, doing like all sorts of like these like vicious types of kicks.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really that interested me with this match. But
I have to
before
say
we
the
get
main
on to the
event,
main
though.
event,
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Yep.
so like before the main event, the whole speculation of Deanna Purrazzo was in the building, but nowhere to be found. Where is
Yeah.
she? Oh
Yeah.
boy! And with the main event coming up, you already know what that means. So, spoiler alert. So we had the TNA Knockouts Championship on the line here with Taya Valkyrie taking on uh, my new 8x10 signee of Jordan Grace. Beautiful.
That was a quite the photo. Yeah, you showed me that. That was nice. Quite the nice photo of her. I didn't know that she looked like that.
Yeah, she had a couple photos on there that interested me. And I think there was another photo too. It was like for 30. It was with her and Josh Gresham or her boyfriend.
Okay.
I forget. But just basically like a double photo, both signatured. I might buy more. Great talent though.
Yeah.
But get into the match. Grace is practically in control most of the match. Charges the beginning of the match, does some outside dives. Taya practically on the outside, getting some momentum, catching breathers. Crashed outside when she was on top of the turnbuckle, which that looked like it hurt.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to the end of the match, but by the time I came back, obviously Grace retained the title, and we would see
Yep.
the debut of Deanna Purrazzo attacking
Yeah.
Grace just to end the show.
Yeah. She got her in the arm bar and looked like she was about to rip her arm out of the socket. Like she was really ripping at it. So
Yeah.
that was a pretty good match, though. I thought it was pretty good. Not that it's it was fun. Nothing. There was some good spots in it, but nothing too crazy. I liked it a lot, though. But the Slammiversary is July 18th, and they have a lot going into it. It's only a month and 2 weeks away, a month and a week away, and it just seems like they're really building it up really well. They got obviously it looks like they might have some people debuting. The gentleman that we all saw, Heath, probably EC3, Michael Bennett, and whoever else may pop up. It looks I don't know if they're going to be a faction necessarily, or if they'll just eventually throughout the show come in. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Slammiversary this year.
Yeah. Especially with the current WWE superstars who were released. And just like the little snippets and hints that we got from tonight's show, obviously, as we mentioned before, the flashback with Michael Bennett and Earl Hebner, EC3 save the day. Rhino talking about, I do have a tag team partner. He has kids, and it's like, oh,
well,
wow,
that one's like really obvious because that was Heath Slater's big gimmick towards his end of his run there in WWE.
Yeah, and plus guys being the first SmackDown Tag Team Champions
Yep.
when the brand split. Yeah, very interesting outcome of what seems to be possibly the Good Brothers with Carl and Luke Gallows.
Now, did you hear any hints of those guys, or was that speculation, or did you actually hear something about that?
From the video package that they saw, I mean, they showed Gallows, they showed
Oh,
Carl,
okay.
they showed who else did they show? They did show EC3, Michael Bennett. Another name that comes to mind that I don't think he hasn't really been brought up is Eric Young.
I didn't think of that, but the thing is, it wouldn't surprise me because that was his home for many years, many years. So if he went back there, I'm sure that they would just really welcome him. And he was, didn't he win the title at one point? Yeah, he was Impact champion at one time.
Impact
So,
champion,
yep.
TNA Knockouts tag champion. Uh, yeah, yeah, he's done it all.
Yeah. So I would love to see him back in there because if anything, WWE did not. Once he got called up to the main roster, they literally did nothing with him. You saw him in background skits. He barely worked matches, and it's a shame because he was around for so long, did so many great things in Impact, and it just shows you how WWE thinks of certain guys. You know that they if Vince does not have interest in you, then he's not going to do anything with you. And, other companies, some of these guys like EC3 and Eric Young will be utilized properly, especially in Impact. Both of those guys were the leaders at some point, like the champion, and so it's good. And I would love to see both of those gentlemen back in there. So it'll be good. And the rumor has it that EC3 has actually signed, but obviously he's in that video package from promoting Slammiversary. So that's going to be. I'm just looking forward to see if there's anybody else that's coming in because they laid off a lot of people during that firing, that mass firing. So we'll see who else. I can't think of anybody else offhand that would come in, but I'd like to see it.
What's so great about a lot of these guys being released is like there's more options nowadays. If we were talking last year, guys getting released, obviously they would set up their Gmail accounts and say, "Hey, book me." Nowadays it's like, okay, after WWE, what's next? You have the launch of you have AEW, you have TNA, who's trying to make somewhat of an impact, no pun intended. I mean, even like NWA Power.
It's a lot of former Impact guys were there, or in Power, and at least they made a few appearances throughout season 1, 2, and 3. I mean, Nick Aldis was in there. Thomas Latimer was in there. Obviously, Ken Anderson, Cole Cabana, everybody. There's a lot of guys. I think that also comes through Billy Corgan's connection with Impact Wrestling that he brought in, who he felt would work really well with the National Wrestling Alliance. I think the NWA it really is my favorite wrestling program right now, and it's kind of sad that it's not on right now, that they're not able to be producing necessarily content as far as like a weekly wrestling program. They're doing different stuff.
Right. Which I think that's why they're releasing all this home media, like on DVD.
Yeah.
We got the first season of Power.
Did you watch that yet? Did you watch it?
Still got to dive into it.
You're gonna like it.
Just been looking at it, just like like in awe, like damn, I can't believe I got this. Definitely want to pick up that pre-order for. Definitely want to pick up that pre-order that you got me.
Oh, the Into the Fire pay-per-view. I bought that and sat and watched it, and I thought it was such a great show. Really, I think that's it was Nick Aldis and James Storm in a best 2 out of 3. Phenomenal match. It was a really good match.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe a little treat for your channel here, but as long as I'm here, why not, right?
Let's do it.
See,
I told you, I'm like a kid. I'm like a kid at Christmas when packages come, and I got a bunch of stuff coming.
I'm surprised how late this came from High Spots, but I mean that's okay. Really? I mean, I think what really made my day was the phone call from RF Video. Not only once, but twice. The first time he left me a voicemail. The second time he called me, he was like, "We found a Stevie Richards photo." Oh yeah, just send that then. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. All right. So let me get this in here. So got the box. Gonna unfold this. Let's see. Receipt paper. So that's
you don't need that.
Right. Take this out the bubble wrap here, and what we have here is 3 gentlemen who currently work for AEW. probably one of the, I want to say maybe like one of the hottest tag teams, but definitely one of the most popular trios in AEW. And
That's
that
right. All right.
is SCU from all three of them, and comes with the certificate of authenticity here.
That's
So
beautiful, man.
definitely a steal. I definitely missed out on these guys when they showed up last year for the over the event. Cody and Adam Page making a surprise appearance. And they were giving out these AEW promo pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, shit, I could have, had all three of them signed. So I would have had Cody, I would have had Adam, and then I would have had these three guys. But for some reason that night, I was just like, nope, nope, maybe another time, maybe another time.
See, I do that
I know
sometimes.
I know
I do
they
that
appeared
and
at
miss
a
out.
Danbury show.
Yep.
I know they appeared at a Danbury show, and that's when I was just like, oh, I could catch them there. But then I never ended up going. So definitely missed out on that. But yeah, this is cool. I'm not sure how
I
many guys I have that are signed on one 8x10, but I think this. Actually, no, I do have the Kingdom. I do have the
okay.
Kingdom. This is my second 8x10 with all three members at least. Um,
I met
not bad.
Daniels. I met Daniels has to be 10, 15 years ago at an indie show in like Meriden, Connecticut. And he was kind of a weirdo. Like he thought I was like, I don't know, he's a little rude kind of, but I was just like, I still got a picture with him and an autograph somewhere. And but it was however many years ago. He's still working for Impact at the time. So why don't we just get into this for a little bit? How we know each other is through the powers of social media and YouTubing, and we're both collectors of wrestling merchandise and wrestling autographs and media. So why don't you tell the people, what exactly do you collect?
Oh boy, when it comes to wrestling memorabilia, I mean, pretty much anything. Well, maybe not necessarily anything. I mean, um, DVDs, especially DVDs. I'm a
Yeah.
big home media. Really started to pick it up this year. With the start of my YouTube channel because I've only started YouTube in January.
Okay.
Which is crazy because I didn't want to start a YouTube channel. I had just moved in to this apartment in September, and I didn't have a dresser for my DVDs. So all my
Mm-hmm.
DVDs were still in the bin. So I kept looking at them and I kept debating: sell my DVDs or get a shelf. Finally, ended up getting a shelf. Beginning of January, got it all set up, got it all displayed, and I remember I was just laying down watching YouTube, watching like the DVD Freak, Wrestling Rampage,
Okay.
and I'm just sitting there taking a glimpse of what I have just put together here, and I'm
Yep.
like, I was in debate for it for maybe like a good year or two, and I just sat up one day. I was like, you know what? Fuck it, let's do it, and did the whole intro video, and that was pretty much it. But as it comes to like collections, besides like DVDs, a lot of 8x10s, magazines. I'm a sucker when it comes to magazines. I have a couple signed magazines. Um, Christian, Rey Mysterio, Ric Flair, John Morrison, Road Warrior Animal, who I met this past January.
Okay.
Um,
How far back does your magazine collection go?
Well, I've been collecting magazines since 2006.
Okay.
So one of the earliest magazines that I have was actually the first magazine that I have, signed by Rey Mysterio. It was from April of 2006.
Mm-hmm.
It was right off the WrestleMania 22 event,
Oh, okay.
and I just saved them because I was like, you never know. You never know.
Yeah,
And
that's
it,
that's one thing I regret from like growing up is that I got rid of stuff like that. And then I would buy them, read them. I always went through them, and now I look at some of the stuff that some of these are worth money, and I'm just kicking myself in the ass. Like I had a bunch of the old WCW wrestling wrap up magazines, and now I'm watching them sell for big bucks on in auctions and stuff like that. And I had a bunch of them, and I had
yeah,
magazines dating back to the 70s, But the one other thing is, through the whole unboxing thing, is that I discovered unboxing videos and such, and that's how we came across each other, and that's how I ended up subscribing and collecting again. And so I just started going back and buying magazines from the 70s and 80s, wrestling magazines, as well as DVDs, autographs, all that sort of stuff. The similar way that you do,
yeah.
you know.
Actually, now that I think about it, I do have a couple like old school like WWF magazines from like the '90s because
Yeah.
I do have one with Jerry the King Lawler signed. I believe it was from July of '95. That practically anything wrestling. Very few VHSs. The only VHSs I have right now is the WrestleMania Legacy box set, which I have been going over on YouTube lately.
I saw that. That's
Now
that's the one that came out in '99, right? Was that came out in '99?
99. What's weird about mine was when I bought it back on Amazon a couple of years back, mine only came with 1 through 14. But obviously, the entire set comes with 1 through 15. So
Mm-hmm.
mine was excluded from 1. So I mean, I'm just going to be doing 1 through 14. I mean, weird, but whatever. I mean, maybe I'll buy the DVD for
Yeah.
15. So
Oh, why not? You can probably find the VHS loose on what's that, eBay or whatever. I always find
I
stuff in the thrift stores. You know.
I mean, I could, but then it wouldn't go with the box set covers because
Right.
the WrestleMania 15 box for this box set is also gray with the gray boarding and
The
everything. So
metallic
kind of
boarding.
wanted
Yeah.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
So I used to have more. Right before I moved here, I had a bunch of like WWF VHSs from like 2002,
Yeah.
early 2000s, 1998, 99, specifically like Attitude,
Right.
pre-Ruthless Aggression era. Um, yeah, I mean, those were like the thing for my childhood were
No, I know.
VHS tapes.
Yeah, I
And
know. I
then,
used to collect. I collected a lot of the '80s stuff because I grew up in the '80s, and then that was my favorite era. Was the mid to late '80s. I was a small child in the '80s, but and then I rediscovered wrestling in the '90s and kind of never looked back. There's probably like a couple years in between, but now my collection is just building like crazy again. So
yeah, in here. Another thing that you and me share in similarities is t-shirts.
yes,
T-shirts. Big sucker for t-shirts. My recent ones, obviously you saw in my last video, was favorite wrestler of all time, late great Owen Hart,
yep,
from his Dark Side of the Ring
yep.
episode, which tell you what, about damn time. And
That
it's so crazy talking about Dark Side of the Ring. Going to that episode,
yep.
you know, watching it the first time, I was kind of just like in awe, like, oh man, like this is crazy. But then I just watched it again last night, and
Okay,
just just like the storytelling from like Jr. and Jim Cornette,
right.
Godfather, kind of gave me a little bit of goosebumps. You know,
I remember the evening. I
it,
remember when it happened. Yeah, and I just remember watching the pay-per-view, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, like this is insane. And then watching the Raw the following night, and actually with a group of friends, and we were all just very sad. Watching while everybody's crying and stuff like that. It was nothing like that has really happened since. As far as that, the Benoit thing was a different situation, but
but when it
nothing that tragic. Yeah,
of like them doing stunts like that
yeah,
and wrestling actually dying at the event.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But what I found a coincidence was they had the tribute show in St. Louis,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just almost 2 years prior that the Bad Blood pay-per-view, and they announced that Brian Pillman passed away.
Jeez. Wow. That I
Coincidence,
didn't know.
huh?
Yeah. I remember there was the tribute match on Monday Nitro like a couple months later, in the same exact arena as Bret Hart wrestled Chris Benoit in what I believe was possibly one of the greatest matches in Nitro history. It's a technical masterpiece, and there was just so much emotion in that match. So it was, it was great. So
Yeah.
that was awesome.
Definitely one of my favorite matches. But boy, just the whole outcome of how that happened, um, the way I think of it, and it didn't really cross my mind until I stumbled upon the question. And Owen Hart dying and them continuing on with the event. I remember
Right.
somebody mentioning like, "Hey Vince, if that was your son Shane, would you continue on with the event or no?"
Right.
So
Yeah. Well, I also heard of it. I was reading or watching something, and they were also amazed that once he died, it became a crime scene, and then they were basically to move the show or to continue with the show. Evidence was basically moved around, so they ended up kind of like messing around with the scene just to continue with the show. So
yeah,
not everything was in place, so it made an investigation a little bit harder.
which which I don't understand because it's like throughout that whole circumstance, you see a man that's in the ring, nobody knows what the hell's going on, especially the referee. You got Jerry Lawler jumping out of his seat to aid Owen Hart on the circumstance of his condition, and they have him
Yeah.
running back and forth like a crazy maniac, and you have some of the fans, which uh there was like two videos of like audio on YouTube of
Yeah.
two fans who were actually there that night that witnessed it,
I
and
heard
they
that
were even
recently. Yep.
and they were even talking about like you would know if it's fake with the ambulances, like the people who were like like with the ambulance and
The
everything. It was
prop.
like
Yeah.
they're fully dressed. They don't look like indie
Yeah.
wrestlers who are just like dressed in all
Right.
white.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. Yep. I get what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
they're taking more precautions with it, and you got people who are trying to work on him, trying to get his heart beating again. And I had heard when he fell, he tried to get back up.
Really.
It's like he tried to get up a little bit, but then he just collapsed.
The thing is, one of the things that I saw in that episode, which I found extremely bizarre, that I never noticed in any of the footage that I'd seen prior, that there was actually blood in the ring, like his blood in the ring. And they showed that in that episode of Dark Side of the Ring. It was like smeared blood in the ring from the fall.
Yeah, it was,
That hit.
and
That
then
hit.
the boarding under it
It broke.
was
Yep.
like it broke, and they still
Yep.
left it like that. So it's
Yep.
like it would kind of be weird just to like look back at that pay-per-view on the network and see who doesn't go towards that spot, knowing
That's not
that
up there, right? Is that up there on the network? I don't think it's up there.
the pay-per-view is up there, but it's highly edited.
Okay.
So it's like it
Okay.
for the whole Owen situation. Speaking of that, I think it was on one of the wrestling like flea market things on Facebook. Somebody
Yep.
took it from VHS on DVD, but the
Yes.
actual event,
Yep.
I would never own it. That's one thing I'm not sure of. Out of my respect to one of my favorites of all time, I can never do that. Just looking back at that, I tend not to get emotional about it because I get so mad thinking about it, and then
Right.
looking
Exactly.
back, because I was just going through the year of 1999. I was just watching Raws from like 1999, and I'm just sitting there, laid back, and I'm like, what the fuck are they doing with him?
Yeah.
They got him in the low card, having him team up with Jeff Jarrett. He doesn't want to do these angles with Deborah. And, you hardly even see him on Raw. He's mostly on Heat. And then you have him dressed up in this goofy blue outlandish, you know what, speaking of that, you have him dressed up like this, okay? And it ain't
I
like,
didn't know they sold. I didn't know they sold blue blazer masks.
listen, I got this at the Northeast Wrestling Show about 2 years back at
Really?
the Lucha Mania event.
Okay.
And I saw this and I was like, that's a blue blazer mask. I'll buy that. I'm not a fan of his later blue blazer, you know,
The
um,
1989 year, the
the,
1989 blue
the
blazer.
1980s Blue
Yep.
Angel slash Blue Blazer.
Yep.
That was fun. That was good for at its time. But for
Right.
them to reprise it in '99 should have never happened. I still got the mask here. I only keep this because Owen Hart. Anything Owen Hart, I will collect. So masks, figures, T-shirts. I'm hoping one day to own an autograph, but God forbid that's going to be impossible.
There's a Facebook group that I recently discovered that's like wrestling autographs and stuff like that. And you'd be surprised at the guys that you find in there, and a lot of them are legitimately have the certificate of authenticity. Because somebody had a Benoit autograph up there, and it was like 300 and change, and I was just like, I wasn't sure if it was real at first, and then the authenticator that they had was, but that stuff does pop up,
Yep.
autographs randomly. I'd love to get
But
that. I mean, we're a fan of like some of the same guys as well, between him and Benoit and stuff.
yeah, it's so funny too because the first question that other YouTubers ask me when they first, start interacting with me, who's your favorite wrestler of all time? First, that's like the first name that pops up out of my mouth at all time. Because, I
Yeah,
just want to sit there and remind people, like, listen, I'm not here celebrating his death. I'm here celebrating the life that he had inside the ring and the person that he was outside. So,
right.
I'm not having that ever change, like, my perspectives on Owen Hart, especially after this Dark Side of the Ring episode. It really made me see what kind of man he was outside, despite all the good stories I've heard about him. Just that one guy you never heard anything bad about.
He was a really good dude overall. It seemed. You hear that anybody anybody says it, between fans. He made friends with fans. There was the one guy that he would uh, he would call anytime he was town, and he'd stay at his house rather than spend money to stay in a hotel, so that he was very frugal, and he was just very friendly. He made friends with people, and he was more uh, he was a guy that he wanted to be a family man, so he was always trying to save his money, and he was just a friendly dude, you know what I mean, trying to
Yep.
he didn't want to do wrestling for the rest of his life.
Always trying to make somebody laugh.
Yep.
Definitely a prankster. Um,
Yeah.
check it out on YouTube. There's actually audio of him and Bulldog making a prank call to Sonny about a pizza, which I laughed
That
so hard.
the pizza thing, I think that was something that he liked to do prank calls a lot. I know there's one where he called somebody down, pretending to be the hotel manager, and then someone ran down to the lobby with no
Doug,
clothes on. Yes.
King
Yeah.
Doug, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's he was a funny guy. Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
I think my favorite story that I've heard from him um, was the Bret Hart one. I think it was like WrestleMania 4 or 5, and Stu was in the hotel, and Owen was on the phone with Bret and tell him like, "Hey, tell him it's Reg Park. It's Reg Parks. Reg, if you wanted to try me, why didn't you try me?" And then he hangs up the
I've
phone,
heard this
sits
story.
down,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
bitch, when he got me.
So yeah, last time after that aired, the Dark Side of the Ring, I ended up going back and watching so many Owen matches. I went. The first thing I did was watch his match with Brett, WrestleMania 10, and that's just a masterpiece. And I remember watching that with a bunch of friends live, and literally when Owen pinned Brett, I jumped out of my seat back then, like as a kid. You know, I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I at that time I did not expect it.
That match I will always recommend to somebody who's,
Yes.
for like good matches to watch, or people who are like starting to get familiar with wrestling, who don't have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of history, come up to me. Hey, what's a good match that I should watch? Anybody from any year, and I'll tell them like Brett versus Owen, WrestleMania 10. That's a barn burner. Opening
Yeah.
match. You know,
Yeah,
it's
it's
great.
great. That got the crowd riled up for a good show. You know, WrestleMania was supposed to be the biggest, and you always need a really good match to kick it off, and that match really was perfect. Like absolutely perfect match. It's nothing. It's probably one of my like easily top 5 matches.
Yeah, definitely one of my tops. So many matches, but that one will always come uh, number one in my book.
Yeah.
You know, so
So in your background, I see a championship belt. What belt is that?
that's the SmackDown tag team title. So
All right.
it was the only one. I mean, I got it for Christmas like 2 years
Yep.
ago. It was on sale, and it's one of those commemorative ones, so it's not like a
Right.
replica. It's basically the same thing, but obviously it's built differently. But
Right.
I couldn't go wrong for $110.
No,
So
no, no.
got
They
that.
start to sell some of those in the stores now. I've noticed the championship belts, like not the plastic toy ones, but the ones that are more replica, like the better ones, the more expensive one. They're what, like $100, hundred and change, like you said.
Yeah.
I've noticed. Yeah.
Uh,
What's your favorite piece of merchandise that you own? Did I ask you that already?
no.
Yeah.
Favorite piece of merchandise that I own. Oh boy. God, I know there's so much. Let me see. Hold on a second. Uh, Probably this.
Jesus Christ, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Yep.
Wow.
Um, yeah, this one. I mean, there's probably other ones that best piece of merchandise that I have.
So that's a Raw magazine autographed by Ric Flair. Did you get that at a Northeast Wrestling event?
No, this was actually at the 2018 Rhode Island Comic Con.
Oh wow.
Um,
Wow.
Fun fact though, I had this magazine beforehand before
Hmm.
Rhode Island. He was supposed to be at that Waterbury show, the Holiday Havoc show in December. But then due to vending issues, he got replaced by Christian. Ended up meeting him instead, and I was pissed because I was really looking forward to meeting Rick. I thought I'd never meet him again, but I sat there and said, "All right, never say never." And then as soon as Rhode Island Comic Con was coming along, my boy was just like, "You want to come?" And I was just like, "Well, yeah." I mean, especially with cards, especially with the people that they had there. I ended up meeting Ric Flair. I ended up meeting Ken Shamrock that day.
Was was Steamboat there? Was that one? Was
He
Ricky?
might have been there, but I think he might have been there for one day out of the
Okay.
three.
Oh, all right.
So
Gotcha.
was I know he wasn't there when I was there. I know Ted DiBiase was supposed to be there, but I think the day I was there, he was already gone. Who else did I ended up meeting? Diamond Dallas Page. I ended up meeting. Really cool guy.
He's a cool dude.
Um,
Yep. Yep.
he gave me a 1 month free subscription for DDP Yoga, which I mean I never ended up using it because I was pretty fit at the time. Um, I ended up meeting X Pac for the first time, which he was probably cool. Funny story about him. When I met him, I was probably like the first or second person in line. Just like, hey, how are you? Just engaging with me. And very guy, and I told him, I was like, dude, you're probably one of my favorite cruiserweights of all time. despite all the heat that you may have received back in your day.
Right.
But if you really look at him, he's the only guy to ever hold the WCW Cruiserweight, WWF Light Heavyweight, and the TNA X Division title. Only guy to ever pull that off.
Wow. That's pretty interesting.
And,
I forgot he was even in it, TNA, to be honest with you. There's so many people that ran through there for short runs. It's hard to remember,
I definitely remember him because, like, my boy introduced me to TNA back when it was still fresh, 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
And this was like around the day where I was still like, oh boy, WWE's the place to be. The only wrestling I'll ever watch. Boy, was I wrong, and I'm glad I was.
Yeah.
He had told me about like all these guys who were there that I haven't seen in so long. I'm like, Jeff Jarrett, X-Pac,
Yep.
Road Dogg. I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, but they're like, pay-per-view exclusive a week. So I was like, I ain't paying pay-per-view a week.
I remember it was Wednesday nights, $10 a week. And yeah. I bought a lot of them, and then I bought a scrambler and watched them for free.
Yeah. I think that's how my boy had it. He used to watch them for free.
Yeah.
But around the time I was probably like 10 or 11 years old. Yeah. So I'm sitting there like, I think my mom's gonna buy that. Until they announced their TV dealership with Spike. So once that aired, I remember this like it was yesterday. The first person that popped up on the screen was AJ Styles. Yep. And I remember just sitting there looking at him. I'm sitting there like, wow, this dude's actually going to be somebody. I never thought he was going to go. I never thought that.
It's hard to imagine.
I always said that. He's never going to go to WWE.
If you were watching WCW in 2000 when he was there as a jobber, you'd never think that he became, because they once TNA started, they featured him right off the bat. We're pushing him, they're like, basically this is the star of the future, and they let you know right off the first episode, the second episode, third episode, and they just went with him, and still he's probably one of the best going today still as far as like mainstream wrestling stars goes.
Right. Going back to my my X-Pac story, just meeting him and everything, and boy, he was so like, you want to pet my dog? And I was like, yeah. So I'm petting his dog and everything. I was gonna go over there anyway, and we ended up taking 3 pictures. Cross chop, X, yeah. Wolfpack sign, whatever. And I remember just leaving his booth, and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall had just arrived, but me and my boy had just left that table, and we're going to meet somebody else. I forgot who I was going to meet. I think it was Goldust, and he was just like, dude. I was like, yeah, what's up? He, kept nudging me. He was like, dude, he looked like he was going to kill you if you didn't pet his dog.
I don't think you would.
I'm just like, really? I don't know, because he told me he was giving me like a look, and I didn't notice, and I was just like, well, whatever. I met Pac. Definitely somebody who I had on my bucket list for meeting, because I've always wanted to meet like DX and NWO members, especially NWO members, because I'm a big NWO white. So
yeah.
Yeah, and I had already met Kevin Nash and Scott Hall prior, so I didn't meet them. Funny thing about Scott, though, he was like the first I met out of the whole clique.
Right.
It was actually in, what was it, Ansonia?
What was in Ansonia of all places?
It was 2014. It was at the technical school.
There was a show there?
Like the Edmund O'Brien. Well, what's that school called?
Yeah, I'm not. The Emmett O'Brien School?
Emmett O'Brien.
Like yeah.
This was back in 2014. It was Matt Hardy, Scott Hall, Cody Hall.
That sounds like a stacked show already. I mean, I don't ever remember hearing about any shows in Ansonia of all places. That's such a weird town to have it in.
It was those 3 guys in particular, and The only person I was looking forward to meeting was Scott Hall. And, I remember just going up to him. He signed my picture and everything. I don't have any Scott Hall questions, but I'm just sitting there like, what's your favorite Owen Hart memory or Owen Hart rib? And he tells me a funny story about him and Lex Luger, how um, he's having Luger on, the turnbuckle post, and he's like selling all these turnbuckle headshots, and he keeps going. Like Owen keeps going, and he's not stopping. And Luger's like, "What are you doing? Stop!"
People like to bust him on Luger, it seems like. So, but
Yeah.
I heard that Owen would have hardcore matches with guys like Mick Foley, and then he would sell like a bag of styrofoam popcorn, like he was getting hit with a bag of bricks or something. So,
Yeah.
that's awesome. What's your favorite autograph that you have out of all your autographs? How many autographs do you have?
Oh boy, too many. Uh, I mean, I do have a video up on YouTube with my autograph 8x10s, and then obviously ones that I've opened lately. I have a lot. I can't really say how much. I mean, if I had to give a good estimate amount, I want to say maybe like over. I want to say over 60, maybe more.
Okay, that's
Maybe
quite a bit.
plus magazines, maybe more. But yeah, with the recent inquiries of like SCU, Jordan Grace, Deanna Perrazzo, ironically, how I got both of them, how ironic that is.
Look at that Tonight Show. I mean,
Yeah, right. It's like, hey, I got yours too. Like, I didn't forget about you.
I can tell you what
Um,
my favorite of yours is that you got was that Dynamite Kid one. When you unboxed that one, I was like, oh my God, I had no idea that existed. So,
I probably would have to say that's one of my favorites, but I think my favorite's right here on my shelf. Yeah. I got this signed about 3 years back. That's the Jerry
that's
Lawler
that's awesome.
autograph, which he signed the outside, and then he was kind enough to sign the inside as well. So he
That's
signed it.
amazing.
So uh, definitely one of my favorite DVDs too. Um,
Yeah, I can
uh,
only imagine what is on that DVD because, I mean, that's got to be amazing. He had quite the career, Jerry Lawler. Um, I know that whenever Northeast Wrestling gets up and running again, I have something that I want to bring with me when he's on the show. Is that poster I got from Pro Wrestling Tees with him and Andy Kaufman, and I want to get Jerry Lawler to sign that. I'll definitely get that framed and put up. So I need Connecticut has to start letting people run shows really quick, really soon, because I'm gonna go crazy.
and you know what? I think that's the only reason why I've been buying autographs is because of this whole pandemic going on. So
Right.
acquiring all these autographs of people that I'll probably never meet in my life, but it's like, hey, that looks like a nice signature. Let me get it. Um, yeah, just there's a lot. I mean, there's a couple more autographs I want. Um, there's a Bruno San Martino autograph that I want. That one looks
Really?
interesting.
Where's that available? Where's that
High spots.
available?
High spots.
Oh wow! I can.
It,
What are they looking? What are
it,
they trying to get for it?
there's a couple Bruno ones. They only want like 25.
That's really cheap. I would expect that
They
to
have
go for way more. Uh, considering who it is, you know what I mean. I expect it to go for way more. And he died
even
what 2 years ago.
even I saw that too, and I was like, Bruno for 25. I was like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
No,
I it's like I had it in my cart, and then I would take it out because I'm sitting there like, shit, I don't know if I want
so
this or not.
that's where we're similar in a lot of ways because there's like going through that website. High Spots has got to be my favorite site, and I've got something coming. I checked the tracking today, and it's supposed to be here Monday. But knowing them, for some reason, it'll say it's coming in 2 weeks, and then pop up in less than a week or something like that. So it says it's coming Monday, but I'm hoping that it comes for Saturday. And for anybody that's listening, you can go to my YouTube channel, and you're going to see a classic NWA, AWA unboxing, and it's going to be amazing. It's the Professor Rick Del Santo, and check out Dan the Beast 94 for all his intense wrestling memorabilia. You looking at anything else on High Spots right now?
Despite the stuff that I've already purchased, I told you I'd gotten a couple PWG events because it's been a while since I've acquired any PWG DVDs. The last one I got was the last event I got was Smokey and the Bandito. So that was the last event I got.
Okay.
I'm definitely behind on some. Well, I'm behind on a lot.
They have a lot of DVDs up there. The thing with High Spots is that you can buy one. There's a bunch that are up there for $5, but then they have like a huge group package if you order like All-Star Weekend, and then they all come and it's like $30 for like 6 DVDs or something like that, and it's just a really good deal. So that's one of the greatest things about High Spots is that they have amazing deals.
I've seen another thing I acquired was the Ring of Honor Alex Shelley compilation set.
Oh wow!
I get that, for $10. I ain't gonna pass that up.
Not for $10. That's a really good deal. Yeah.
And then there's a couple stuff that I've seen that you might be interested in. They have a couple. I think it's like NWA Florida, and they're like $4 right now. But there's like I've seen like Steve Carino. I've seen AMW, like early AMW.
Okay.
$4. I was like, can't really pass that up.
No, yeah, there's a lot of that stuff over there.
Couple shoot interviews too that I was looking to get. There's this one Ring of Honor shoot interview with the Fantastics.
The real Fantastics, Tommy Rogers and Bobby Fulton.
Yes.
Okay, I know. Tommy Rogers was replaced for a little while by
his brother,
Jackie Fulton. Yeah.
Jackie.
Yep. Yeah. He. I've seen that. I think they were in Smoky Mountain together, Jackie and Bobby. But the Fantastics were one of my favorite tag teams in the '80s. Watching them with World Class and Jim Crockett Promotions and stuff like that, and their matches with the Sheepherders were pretty insane.
Yeah,
those were fun to watch.
I'm really a sucker for Midnight Express.
Absolutely. Which version of the Express do you like?
I would say both, but I'd probably have to say Beautiful Bobby and Stan Lane.
I'm more of a Stan Lane version, but I do like the Dennis Condrey version as well. They were definitely very good.
Especially their skyscraper match with the Road Warriors.
Is that where Cornette blew out his knee, right?
Blew out
taking that fall. Yep.
And Hawk wrestled in a cast because he had broke his ankle in Japan.
Yep.
So that match always gave me chills because heights kind of on and off. So
I can't handle heights. There's no way I'd be 20 feet up, and never do it. That's the thing with watching the old NWA. Like nobody will do stuff like that today. Really, it just seems like everybody's too protected. With wrestling.
With matches like that, and you figure going back to the whole Owen Hart accident that happened.
Yeah.
They would definitely do nothing like that again.
Yeah.
Wrestling was definitely had its crazy times back in those days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely do anything to get their stuff out there, especially when it came to like ratings.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that before we wrap it up, one of the things that we talked about was that everybody watches WWE, and it's usually basically how people discover professional wrestling because it's the only, or I shouldn't say it's the only, but it's the biggest game in town. AEW's number 2, and we were talking about how somebody doesn't watch it because they don't like it. But what other wrestling do you watch outside of, obviously we talked some Ring of Honor and Impact, but what's your favorite professional wrestling TV show?
Oh boy.
Or promotion, I should say, because not everything is not everybody does have TV.
Right.
And I know you're a huge DVD collector.
Yeah. I mean, currently, I would probably have to say AEW, only because
Yep.
that's practically the only thing different um, from WWE that we can actually just go and switch the channel for nowadays. I mean, Impact, as we were watching today, you literally have to either get the Access TV or you have to download Twitch, which I
Yeah.
would probably prefer Twitch because that's free. You can watch that whenever the
Yeah.
hell you want.
Exactly. Yep.
And yeah, I mean AEW. I mean, it's something new. It's definitely a fresh breath of air into the
Yeah.
lungs of wrestling fans, especially guys who were watching WWE and WCW back in the day during the Monday Night Wars. Now we're kind of going through the whole. I really want to say Wednesday Night Wars, but the ratings for AEW have definitely been surpassing NXT's brand. So
I can't really say it's a war, like you said, because I feel like I think NXT is only won 1 week out of however many, 8 months or something like that, you know. And I think that I really love NXT. I do. I think it's one of my favorite products to watch, but I think definitely AEW is doing something different and doing something better. And the roster is stacked. You know, they took every top indie guy that was working everywhere and
yeah,
around the world and just signed basically anybody that would sign and did not want to go with WWE because they wanted freedom. You know what I mean?
and you know what? It's so funny too because it's like these are guys that I was attending Northeast wrestling shows for, and
A lot of them were there. Yeah.
I was literally watching guys like Darby Allin, who was practically, you know, nobody I was familiar with at that time, and I'm just sitting there
Right.
like, wow, this guy's pretty unique. And then I saw some of his PWG work, some of the
Yep.
matches he had with the Ball, and then all of a sudden gets signed with AEW, and I'm just like, wow, he was just here. Like
Yeah.
what?
Joey Janela.
Now,
I can't even think. You know, just there was like a huge. You know, Joey Janela is like one of the
Dragon,
guys that I really liked a lot. You know, that he also worked matches for Northeast Wrestling up in. I know he worked the Bethany show, one of the Bethany shows.
yeah.
So yeah.
He definitely did a couple Wonder shows here. Same thing with like Ray Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. Um, which I mean they were already somewhat big, but I
Yeah.
mean for them to sign with a big global promotion like AEW,
I like those
definitely.
guys in yeah. I like those guys in Impact, but I think since they went to AEW, they shine a little bit more or a little bit differently. You know, it's I'm lucky. I'm very excited for this week. I'm getting my next pro wrestling loot box, and there's a Pentagon Junior autographed item in there. So I'm pretty psyched about that because I already have Phoenix's autograph, which I cherish because he's like one of my favorites today. You know.
I have two Pentagon 8x10s, and
Yep.
speaking of Pentagon, I actually do have a Bound for Glory 8x10 of Pentagon,
Oh,
not
really?
signed
Yeah.
from the TNA tote bag specials. Um,
They don't make
which
those in my size, those shirts. So I can't order the.
well, honestly, after I get this next TNA package Thursday, I pray that I get it Thursday. But I've only been waiting like 2 weeks now. I probably won't order from them again. I mean, I'll still watch the show, but I probably won't order from them again. I'll probably just go on eBay, get some of their DVDs, whatnot.
Right. You
But
know where's a good place to get that stuff is like the FYE website because they have stuff marked relatively cheap, you know, there,
yeah.
and then a lot of times you can get them used as well. So
So I got a couple good TNA DVDs coming in, including this one, which I'm not going to open yet. But
I don't know how you hold that stuff. I can't hold it. It's hard enough letting it sit there for 6 hours while I get
I
off of work
mean,
before I make a video.
you saw me open the autograph. I couldn't resist that. I was like, you know what? Let me give Rick Channel a treat here from WWE. Uh,
Yeah, now I appreciate that, man. That's an awesome autograph too. I like.
yeah, I like,
I
you
love
know,
SCU. Yeah.
definitely definitely one of my favorite trios at the moment.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, going back to like favorite wrestling shows, I mean, I would definitely have to say AEW just because it's really developed within, not even the first AEW show, but you really got to go back to All In back in
Yeah.
2018. No,
That
that
was,
was
which I
basically
thought was an amazing show. I thought it was phenomenal. That show. I loved it.
that
Yeah.
that I would consider the AEW debut, like, 'cause that's really what it felt like. That was
It
the atmosphere.
was. Yeah. It was the. It was like setting you up for AEW. It was. And it was just. It was. It was like a prequel, kind of. You know what I mean? It was good though. It was. It was phenomenal. I thought it was beginning to end. I thought it was just. And one of the things that I thought was weird about the show. I know we're talking about this now. What 3 years later is that the NWA World Title match was like the third match on the show, which
Yeah.
I just thought that was really bizarre. But I didn't book it, so I can't really complain. So
Right. Yeah, definitely an oddball decision there. Um, Going back to other show, I'm definitely big, as most of my viewers have seen, Ring of Honor. Definitely have a lot of Ring of Honor that I still have to catch up on, as I bought a shitload from that High Spots special.
yep,
25% off. I was just like, well, I'm gonna be expecting a couple boxes. Um,
I'm
other
hoping that they're gonna have another sale soon. I hope. They're now they don't have any specials, but I think that I heard there's one coming up soon because of probably the beginning of July, like a July 4th sale or something like that.
I'll probably end up hearing something about it anyway because I do have a
Yeah.
YouTuber, TN Couponer,
Oh, I follow him. Yep. Yep.
who practically announces all these deals.
Yeah.
Um, who he's actually the one I have to thank because he informed me about the High Spots deal. He informed me about the 2017 Ring of Honor DVD sales because those DVDs were $1.99 each when I
Yep.
bought them. Yeah, just crazy deals. And then TNA, which they had their buy two get two free
Yep.
DVDs, and I ended up buying nine. Like I said, I probably won't order from them again because this shit's taking way too long.
It seems
Um,
like it. So I was like kind of worried about ordering from them myself. Not they don't have a lot in their store though, so it's not
well,
really worth
the
going
first time I
through.
ordered, the first time I ordered from them, it was okay because it was
Yeah.
the two tote bags, and they came
Okay.
quick. So
Yep.
I was like, all right, I'll order from them again. But I think it just has all to do with like the whole pandemic going on,
Well,
the recent
there's
protests, and
yeah, we can say that, but recently that's like not every company like they're like a lot of these companies. I think that you are using them for this whole pandemic thing as like an excuse to not ship your stuff or take their time because. To be honest with you, there's things I've gotten like from High Spots. I've gotten it in like 3 to 4 days, and then there's other things that took. There's something that I ordered. I ordered like WWE mystery crate. It's not from WWE. It's from Loot Crate. Um, it's sitting there. It's they were supposed to ship it 2 months ago, and I haven't received it yet. And they charged me for a second crate for the following month, and that's not even. It's not even supposed to ship until the end of next month. Now they're saying, which I'm just like they're making me wait 3 months, which is just a bunch of crap. Anything from WWE they ship the same day. They'll place
right.
the order, so it's like I'll get that within 2 to 3 days. So I'm not worried about that stuff.
Same thing with High Spots. High Spots, I ain't worried. I'll get that in a couple days. I'll order from there the same
Yeah.
day, and it'll
Yep.
arrive on time.
Yeah.
Like this SCU autograph. I think it was like maybe like a day late, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not really picky when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Who else? Who else? Ring of Honor's fast. Ring of Honor
Mm-hmm.
a lot faster than what they used to be. Um, they were usually when I bought their DVDs, I bought them. They got shipped the same day, and I got them within maybe 4 or 5 days.
Right.
So that was
I've
that was
I've ordered from them a few times, and back in the day, but I haven't ordered from them in quite a few times. But they were always really quick. Very quick.
I know
Yeah.
Pro Wrestling Tees is taking a while just because of the whole circumstance with the protest. If
Yep.
people seen their Instagram uh, boarding up their store, but we'll see
That's
because
one store.
I still haven't gotten a confirmation for the Marty Skrull shirts I bought yet.
Right.
So
They print on demand for a lot of their stuff. Like the majority of the stuff, it's like on demand. So it's I'm a little bit more, I'm a lenient with them as far as like their customers because they always have a really good customer service and they're printing stuff for independent wrestlers and stuff like that on demand basically rather than printing up 200 shirts and then they just sit there in the freaking warehouse and rot. So I'm a little bit more understanding with the pro wrestling tees as opposed to like other companies.
right, yeah,
So,
because I'm still waiting for these shirts. I'm still waiting for that demolition shirt that I ordered. RF video. I'm glad he called. I'm definitely glad he called me twice because I was not expecting a call from RF video today. Um, like, hey, it's such and such from RF video. Like, oh yeah, how you doing?
I haven't ordered from
What you
them, but
doing? What
I do
you do?
see a
Find
lot
my
on their
YouTube channel?
website. Yeah, they want to send you some free stuff, right?
Yeah.
So,
Damn, they found me. Fuck.
all right, Dan, how can everybody find you on the interwebs and social media?
You can find me on Facebook, Danny Bryant. You can find me on Instagram. It should be D_Banshee187. You can find me on YouTube at Dan the Beast 94. Be sure to hit that like button and leave those comments down below, especially if you're a new subscriber. You're watching my videos and you're not subscribed. What are you doing? Hit that button. But this is Rick's channel, so give you
Go
the
to
heads
it.
up.
Go follow Dan the Beast 94 because he's got some really great unboxings and just a really awesome dude and great collector. And we're going to be doing, what did we talk about earlier? Doing uh, an unboxing together of sorts through Skype and uploading it.
Unbox. Definitely going to be doing more of these Impact reviews every
Yeah.
Tuesday. I mean,
Yep.
as long as my work schedule is good, I mean, if we miss a couple weeks, that's fine. I mean, we can always catch back up.
Yeah, we'll
Uh,
figure it out. We'll work you in here somehow because there's always plenty of content to keep going no matter what night of the week it is. There's wrestling. Wrestling is only I think there's only one night out of the week it's not on, which is Thursday, right? So
yeah.
so I'm sure we can find out of the other 6 days a week something to create an episode for.
I know we recently talked about maybe superstar talks, talking about
Yep.
a certain superstar, their career.
Yep.
I know you also mentioned about getting certain wrestlers for podcasts. I know you
Oh yeah. I've
mentioned
got a
the hometown guy, Just Incredible.
yeah. Yep. I've been in talks with him, so we'll see what happens there.
So yeah, stay tuned, guys. Me and Rick plan on doing a lot of collab videos. My new tag team partner in crime here. So I guess
All right, Dan.
hence the reason I have the tag team belt. I guess I'm a tag team specialist.
One more question. How many DVDs are in the background there? Because I see quite a few.
Ooh, that's something that I should really be accountable for. Let me see, Blu-rays, box sets. I don't know. I mean, that's something I'm gonna have to really barely check into because you know I mean, it's mostly WWE, but I mean, I got a few rare WWE stuff. Ring of Honor, PWG, FIP,
Yep.
starting to get back into TNA, um, WWE Blu-ray, the WrestleMania Legacy VHS box set that was supposed to come with 1 through 15, but I only got 14 because the guy wanted to be a dude. So,
So let me ask you,
so
do you still have a VCR?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I wish I did. I know the TV that I had a couple years back. It was already a VHS and DVD assembled TV, so it's
Okay.
like already built in. Um, I don't think I would ever be interested in buying a VHS. Just for like nostalgia purposes, have the VHS. If I ever meet somebody who attended that certain event or who's on the
Right.
cover, maybe have the VHS. I got a couple sealed WWE DVDs, which I think I'll showcase off one right now. I keep this sealed. I mean, it's not really that rare of a DVD, but the way I found it on High Spots, go check out High Spots, guys. This Forcible Entry Hulk Hogan DVD set,
I
still
remember that one.
sealed.
Yep.
This usually goes about $20 on eBay. High Spots was selling it for $4 at the time. But the best thing
Can't
about
pass
this
it up.
is it came with a 2-song sampler from WWE Forcible Entry.
That's interesting. I don't ever remember that.
Yep. So, and it's crazy too because I found it for $4 on High Spots. You go on there now, they list it for 24. So I got it for a good price, and I also picked up WrestleMania 18 from High Spots as well.
Okay.
Brand new. It was resealed. The only thing that they did, I don't know why they did it, was they took out the inserts, which I don't understand why they would do that. But another thing that's added to my collection, I have the Vengeance 2002 pay-per-view, which is a very rare WWE DVD, only because, fun fact, back at that time when they were going through the whole name change from F to E, they really didn't want to promote their DVDs in like retail stores. They didn't have the DVDs in Walmart, Kmart at that time, Blockbuster, Toys R Us, if you want to say that too. The only way you were able to acquire these DVDs was from online, or if you got the WWE subscription magazines, fill out your order, and they would just mail it to you. So
Huh.
anybody who was ever wondering why those 2 DVDs, Vengeance and Judgment Day, were so rare, that's practically why.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. That's really interesting. I didn't know that. Wow. All right, Dan. I'm going to wrap it up because I think I'm losing some battery here. So we're going to continue this probably later in the week, and we'll talk more collectibles. We'll talk more professional wrestling, Impact, AEW, WWE, and we'll obviously give highspots.com the rub even more. So,
Yep. So, don't forget, highspots.com. Go check it out.
one more time, it's Dan the Beast 94 on YouTube. And it's, yep.
Danny Bryant on Facebook. Danny Bryant. I think the username's like D_Banshee187 on Instagram. Go check it out. Follow me. Subscribe to my channel. Be sure to tell, hey, Rick sent me, and then I'll know.
All right, man. I will be talking to you a little bit later, man. Have a great night.
All right, you too.
All right, man. Goodbye.
All right, man. Yeah.